Page 77, proxy for the pending AGM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The third annual general meeting of the Hawke's Bay Regional Investment Company is going to be held here in this room on the 6th of September at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 6th of October, just checking you're awake. And we need, as the shareholder of that company, we need to agree proxy for voting at the AGM. The recommendation is that the chairman of the council be appointed as council proxy, and if he is unavailable, that the deputy chairman of council be his alternate.
The recommendation.
Question? When you attend as the shareholder, do they give you a little wee sign that says 21 million shares, 21 million votes? I just want to be clear that you got the
270, what is it? No.
no 21. You've got 21 million shares. I don't know whether we got 21 million votes or not.
Short answer, no.
Oh.
Councillor Belbert.
Is this the meeting that has normally been in public? It's a public meeting, right? Is it been advertised? I haven't seen any notice of this anywhere.
I'm not sure that it's been advertised yet, but I could
2
check.
weeks
But
away.
it will be being advertised, definitely. Yes, yeah. In fact, invitations go out to a large number of people on council's contact database also, and those have been sent out.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Page 81. Collection of rates. Keeps the place ticking along. I'll hand that over to Mr. Drury.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll ask Trudy Kilcolly, the financial accountant, to come up if she would. Trudy's been with us for 16, 17 months, but holding down the financial accountant's job for a period of 10 months. So this is her first presentation on rating. She is in charge of rates, and David Cairns, the senior rating officer, is down the back there to answer any technical questions if indeed we dip into any technical areas. So I'll hand it over to you to take us through the collection of rates paper. And you'll need to.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Right. The collection of rates paper is for the year ending 30th of June, 2014, and it relates to the 13 and 14 year. In that year, we had 69,609 rating units, and we generated 18 million plus in rates. Table 1 just explains the basis of rating, the factors used, and the schemes that were rated, where we generated the rates for. Okay. Over the page, Table 2 is the rates that are set in each district. Obviously, Hastings, bigger district, so they get 47% of the rates set related to Hastings. We've split it in urban and rural, and we've listed the rating units per district. So the final percentage of urban rates was 56% and rural's 43% for our area. Rates arrears at year end stood at just over $1 million. That's the 6 years worth. It's not just that year, it's the total rates in arrears, which is not too bad in the big picture. It's actually 1.7% of our rates are outstanding after 6 years. So overall, we've had a 98% collect. After 6 years, outstanding rates are written off. It's a statutory regulation, And you'll note further down that we have credit balances, and this relates to clean heat loans. People like to pay their rates in advance, and sometimes the wrong councils are paid the rates, and we hold the money until we are notified and we can send the money to the right councils. Sure, sorry.
Yeah, just questions as we go. Yeah. So you said after 6 years the rates are written off. Do you mean that they cannot go into year 7, but they're not written off as such? The 5 years that are owing just click in again.
Yep. Yeah, it's just that.
Well, that's not what you said though.
Oh, sorry. Apologise. It's the years, the oldest rates, which is 6 years old, that gets written off. Statutory barred remains, and we still collect on them. We collect on them all the way through until year 6, and then it gets removed.
So you can't get out of paying, that's what she's saying,
Yeah.
Mr. Moy.
Year 7, you can, yeah. But our collection's actually very good. You know, it's pretty good. So.
Yeah, there's statute barred after 6 years, but you'll note on the 6th year most of the rates that are written off are Maori multiple ownership rate.
So in table 4, Māori multiple ownership, you haven't broken that down into rural, urban, under 150, etc., and under 10. So in actual fact, the under 10 ones wouldn't be worth collecting, would they?
No.
Wouldn't be worth a stamp.
No.
So can you put mine under that?
Sure. You give me your address.
Just RD2.
It can go next to mine. Yeah.
The serious part of the question was those 553, there would be a considerable number of them that are on unimproved areas that aren't being lived on as well. Because I've actually been through this process with the Maori Land Court. And therefore, there's no services and there's quite often no access. So it just gives a false impression that you've got a whole lot of darkies out there not paying their rates, when in fact there's no services and it's multiply owned. They probably don't even know they've succeeded to it.
Exactly. There's a remission policy that we have.
Yeah, I'm aware of the
Okay.
but I mean, so these people aren't even aware that they own it. And
So,
if they came to another, this is not a criticism.
Yeah, no.
This is for the councillors' information. There is a government agency, which I'm actually a part of, which actually pays these owners a lump sum in lieu of them leaving it as it is. So it's almost ironical.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Just a follow-up question. What is the remission policy?
We have a policy. Well, basically, it's multiple Maori owners. They cannot live on the property. They cannot generate income from the property. It's basically just a block of land as such that just sits there, and there's no owner. Like, I couldn't send the bill to one particular owner. It's multiple owners, and it just sits there. We actually only have 84 remissions for that year, and it comes to $41,000. But to actually trace the owner, and it's just impossible. Northland have a huge problem.
No, Councillor Scott.
Just to come back to the remission policy, have we got that right? And that we've approved 84 remission applications, which is 18% of the total. But that's that amount per year, is it? So if we spread that over 6 years, we're probably getting a better strike rate under that remission policy. Is that right?
I'm not quite sure what you're getting there. It's if it's remitted, you're remitted
Is that
forever.
whole? Yeah, I know. But taking the fact that we've got $233,000 outstanding,
Oh, yes.
of which 41,000 has been approved under the remission of rates.
Yes.
Is that a percentage of that 233,000? Was that a percentage of an annual
That
rate?
the 41,000 was the annual remission for that year.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If we look
Sorry.
at the whole,
Yep.
if we multiply, is that happening each year? Because this was approved in 2003. So all 6 of those years have sat within this remission
Yes.
policy. So we can actually think of it in terms that there is a much higher rate that is being officially remitted.
I'm still not quite sure.
Right, you've just said that the 41,000
Yep.
that was remitted under this policy applied to 1 year.
Yep. Yes,
The amount that's outstanding applies to 6 years.
it does. Yes.
Right, so are we looking back over each of those 6 years and seeing that amount per year?
It's
In which case, are we
It's-
actually officially remitting the majority of that amount of, or is that in excess to what has been remitted?
You've lost her again.
sorry.
I just want to know, is our remission policy effective, or are we just wasting our time fiddling around with only a percentage of it? Should we look at that policy and see, is there a better way of identifying this land?
Should that be done by way of commissioning or I'm struggling a little bit here because the base of the numbers keeps moving. For example, the 233,
can I-
240, just let me
ask a
finish.
question?
233, 240 is over a particular year. And then next thing someone says it's over 6 years. Well, it's either 1 year or 6 years.
No, it's not. Yeah, the 233 240 is over the 6 years. It's 6 years of the Maori multiple ownership rates.
But it doesn't say that.
No,
The heading
you're
says
right.
2013-14. So
I
the point
agree.
I'm making is the base that you calculate on here is confusing.
That Councillor Scott was trying to
Yes.
make.
Now that no, sorry, I didn't understand quite.
So
what
you
you're
understand
saying.
now, so you can
Yep. No, it
answer
shouldn't
Councillor
have
Scott.
13, 14 at the top. 6 years. Yeah. Sorry, I apologise.
But-
Question, Mr Chairman, it is our policy effective in actually recognising that there is no point in chasing up the rates on the majority of these properties?
I think our policy is. We don't actually chase the multi.
Yeah,
We don't. If they.
but we've only
remitted-
approved 84 remission
Yes.
applications. Is that actually getting to the heart of the problem?
Well, we actually, if David Cairns my rates, we only do about 3 or 4 Maori rates remissions extra per year. It's not something that.
It could be said that if the property could have been approved to be under this policy, could have had 5 years arrears at the time of the approval, and 41,000 on some properties could have involved multiple years, and then from there on, that property's only, as each year rolls along, it's only 1 year's worth.
Sure. That's how it works.
Thanks, Dave. Does that answer your question, Christine? Sorry.
Sure, just what the outstanding amount of Maori multiple ownership are not getting a remission of rates.
33,000
Through you, Mr Chairman, on table 3, maybe that's helpful. Table 3, you've got the multiple ownership land for each of the 6 years. So if you look at table 3 there for 2008-9, the Maori multiple ownership land outstanding is 31,000, and then at 33, 35, 36. So you can see that after the remissions, there's pretty much the same amount each year that will move up to the statute bar. Yeah, it's not a huge amount given the 18 million we do. It's
So
the
just-
principal non-payment.
So just some
Yeah.
further clarification on this remission. You get an application from a multi-owned property, you approve it for remission,
Yes.
and thereafter it continues, the rate that's struck against that property continues to be remitted year after year until such time as the land use might change or it's sold or whatever. Is that how it works?
Yes, well, it'll never be sold. I don't think multiple Maori land gets sold, but if they change the use of the land and generate income off it, then they will be rated. So,
Sorry. Just for clarification, it's not only Māori land, it's any land that's is not generating an income. So it can be general land and Māori land. Those are the two legal statuses of land. So if you've got a 1,000 hectare block in the middle of nowhere, it's just got bush on it, you can apply for a rate remission.
Yes, you can, Councillor, but there's two rate remission policies, and there is one for Maori multiple ownership land. There is a separate policy, and there needs to be, because again, we talked earlier in the day, the Local Government Act's got it down there. You got to have one, and of course we do have one. But there is another remission policy for hardship, etc., which I think is what you were touched on, Mike.
So where you've agreed to accept that the rates will be remitted, they still get struck against the property and they still show as arrears and you remit them. Is that how it works?
That's correct. I believe that's correct.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Question, could we have a more detailed report on this for consideration at a later committee meeting? I mean, I'm concerned that staff who are, come before the committee to report on actual numbers being asked whether the policy is effective, whether we're doing such a... These are value judgments, and I think these are things which councillors should make themselves. And it's, whether it's effective or we're managing it correctly, I think is a point which we should make that, have analysis, discussion, and then make a judgment at that point. I just think it would be useful to have a paper come back to outline what it is and how it's managed. We can then say, well, we're better informed, and we'll decide to do something different.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, I didn't mention that policy for remission of rates for Maori multiple ownership land is actually in the LTP, consulted on, and so people are aware of it.
Comes up again this round?
And it comes up again this
Okay.
round.
So would it be reasonable for the chairman of the Maori Committee on a commission basis to collect these?
It could be well be.
An eel of property, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, 50%.
Councillor Belford.
I reckon we should give the Maori Committee Chair his fees and expenses on the amount he collects.
It's a commission basis. Councillor Belford.
Well, yes, regarding the commission, it's 20%. On item 13 here, I have a question. Who is our debt collection agency? And looks like the success rate here is about 6% or so. So they were able to collect 300,000 against 800,000. Is that
Of the current year's rates.
Yeah. So is that? I mean, is that considered in debt collection circles? Is that a good rate? Bad rate? How well are we doing at this?
It's not a bad rate, but we're actually going through a process at present of, firstly, let me answer. East Coast Credit Control are our debt collectors. And we're actually just going through a proposal now of, instead of paying debt collection fees, like for the year 13-14 was 121,000, was their 20% cut. And we've actually got a proposal up at present to employ a staff member to collect the debts, 100% collecting the debts. And by doing that, the costs could be reduced on my figures, and I have to apologise, Liz, I haven't actually presented it to you yet. Sorry. But I'm thinking of, we could possibly save $70,000 a year by doing it internally, and we build better relationships with our ratepayers, we have control of the process, and we get to work with them, our ratepayers, better than them just getting a bad letter in the mail, pay up type of thing. So we're changing the focus, hopefully this year, to work better. And I've been to the other councils about this, and Napier collect their own, and their success rate is wonderful, and the ratepayers actually appreciate the fact that we're working at it.
Just a follow-up question to that, though. The properties that we struggle with, the properties we have issues with, surely the territorial in that area would have the same issue with the same group of ratepayers?
Yes.
So is there any means of perhaps even a shared service type arrangement where we have our own internal collection service or whatever you'd like to call it,
Yeah.
and we deal with the territorial issue as well as our own.
Yes, no, I looked at that too. Part of it, like, to me, it was an option. It was one of the options I looked at. I spoke with Napier, and unless all the councils, to me, agree to do a shared service equally, it comes down to if they collect money in, is it their rates or is it our rates that get the share of the money? Hastings collect our rates on our behalf during the year and actually notify us that they've collected the rate, but keep the money, invest it, earn interest on it, and at the end of the financial year give us the money. I would like our money in, generating money for us. And so that was my theory of employing someone, get the money in, reinvest it, use it where we need, rather than wait all year and get a lump sum at the end.
So just to follow up from that, and it's probably a question for the Chief Executive, is there a potential shared service opportunity in this? If we're paying 121,000 or costing 121,000, by definition, the territorials, because of the extra quantum, are probably, there might be $500,000 across us all to save. I don't know.
Yes, like Napier employ one person, Hastings one person. You're looking at $50,000 as such. Napier collecting their rates are probably the same rate payers that haven't paid us.
No, that wouldn't be right, because they would multiply ownership in their
Oh no, the merit. Yes, I agree with you.
We got the problem. The unique problem. Hastings District.
Hastings District, yeah. There is a possibility of a shared service in this. The other shared service that I've worked with the other councils just at present is, and I'm trying to coordinate, is emailing out all the rate invoices. So we're trying to work together on that, first of all, and if that works, then the next step is to do debt collection together and like that. But I'm just conscious that if I can get the money in, I want the money in, we use it how we want.
So the answer to your question, Mr. Chairman, is there is a potential for a discussion. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 5-council shared service. It could be between 2, us and one other, for example. But, Trudy has highlighted, what are potentially some of the issues that would have to be worked through. If they collected $100, how much of that goes to us and how much to them? That kind of issue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, okay. I think that's answered my question. I had one other follow-up, but I'll let someone else have a go first. Councillor Barker.
Just mention the emailing accounts.
Yes.
Are we going to do that? It seems to be a very sensible thing to do. It saves cost. Most of the accounts people have sent out are on paper now. And the second thing is that they're developing software packages, so when an emailed bill comes into a person can just simply click on the package and the money will go out of their account to pay the bill,
Yes.
where it's not a direct debit. So we've got all these fancy things. So are we going to get ourselves into the 21st century and do it all electronically?
Absolutely.
Good. And the
Absolutely.
second question I've got, maybe a better question for the chair. I know that Wairoa pays is billed 6.88% of the rates, but the outstanding arrears for Wairoa is 24.9.
We're far more inventive in the north. That's what you're hearing there.
I would have thought dodgy was the word.
I'll fight for inventive at this stage. Councillor Scott.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to come back to this table on the cumulative arrears, and the next biggest group is the urban over 150, which owes $341 per person that is in arrears. What happens to those? I know that at the end of 6 years, that particular part of it gets wiped off. But if people just don't pay their rates, what comeback have we got? Apart from going through, we've in the past had the rate collection agencies. If they're stubborn enough,
Yeah.
we have no comeback.
We have no comeback. As far as I'm aware, we have no comeback. After the 6 years, it's statutory barred. So we have to work really hard in that 6 years to pull as much in as we can.
So if I could turn this one around on its head and have a look at your comment under 16, that many of the ratepayers who are in arrears are settling their rate in instalments, can we not front foot this and offer people the chance, because we send out rates for the full year? Can we actually arrange that ahead of them getting in arrears if they have difficulty paying?
Oh yes, we have many ratepayers that pay in advance and...
No, not pay in advance,
Oh.
pay in instalments.
Pay instalments, sorry.
Yep.
Yes, I think that works now. Dave, people... Sorry, excuse me, sorry.
People are able to make payments by AP. If I have any ratepayer that rings me, we will enter into any arrangement with them on the frequency they want to pay. Basically, I say the rates need to be clear by the 31st of January the following year, and so whatever they would like to do with an AP.
And is with that without a penalty?
That's what
Yeah.
because that's
So,
the final date to pay.
rather than waiting until people have got in a position of having a penalty added to it and then having to pay that off as well, can we be more proactive on this area of those people who are struggling to pay rates? Is there room for improvement with
Oh,
that?
there's absolute room for improvement. We've improved so much just in the last year, to be quite honest. So absolutely happy to improve and assist our ratepayers.
Can I just follow on
And
with that?
can I just follow up with one other question? That is, if we did go to emailing of rates, how do we know which of our ratepayers has email or not? Because there's one sitting in this room that does not have a
No.
computer. So
can I-
I think I sort of spotted a look of worry on her face when suddenly she was going to have to go to...
Oh no, for sure.
She'll miss out.
It's an option to opt in or opt out.
Sure.
To be honest, it's the first few years we won't actually save much money by doing it, but we will provide a service that our ratepayers want, and if they want to receive it electronically, I think it's something that we need to do. But people will still get it manually in the mail if they choose not to go electronic. We're looking. I've actually approached the other councils, the 5 in our district. 4 of them use the same rating software as us. Hastings is the only one that doesn't. Napier and Central Hawke's Bay have been emailing out invoices for the last couple of years. They are the leaders in this, so I'm happy to listen and learn from them. January this year, we are going to do, between the districts, promote this. Our theory is, and it's, you want to hear happy to hear my theory? Okay. Basically, we need to work smarter here and not harder. And the 4 other councils do invoicing 4 times a year. So if they're emailing out and anyone changes their email address, they will capture that information easier and smarter than we will when we invoice once. So what I'm trying to encourage is basically they do all the work of maintaining the email addresses, and then that feeds through to us for our 1 yearly invoice out. That's the way I'm approach them. They're happy to work with it. That's something everyone's brought up and we have to address, but it's something that if you're happy to give your details to Napier City, tick a box, that information will come to us. So it's just, we try and just do it smarter, but I have to work with Napier and Central Hawke's Bay mainly because I've been doing it for a couple of years. Central Hawke's Bay have got 2,500 emailed out, and they basically have only got 7,500 ratepayers, and they've got 2,500 emailing it out. Napier have only got around 3,000 on 23,000 ratepayers. So nobody wanted to go boom and get it all. They wanted to do it slowly. Napier and Central Hawke's Bay are ready to go bigger, and they're happy that we've come on board with them as well.
Good. Just on the email, I accept that it's not to be compulsory, but just thinking again as a ratepayer, it's sitting in my house. I'm getting a pile of bills come in, and 2 council ones a year. I recall some time ago that we used to get one rate bill, and it included the regional council rate bill. So what we are now, we're generating 4 different sets of rates for TAs, another one for the regional council. Is it not time that people are all talking about cooperation, this is the big thing, is it not now time to test the sincerity of these things and say, why don't we have a central billing system for all rates and for all the collection of arrears, and have one for the council? So one central thing puts it all out, brings it all back. Instead of you collecting some email addresses, someone else collecting other email addresses, all here, just too complicated. Why don't we just get...
They're fighting to answer you, these two over here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the issue of a shared rate collection service is something that that's coming up for discussion at the Local Authority Shared Services Company. But historically, and it wasn't all that long ago, well, it was probably about 7 or 8 years ago now, but when we used to get, I'd get my rates bill from Napier City Council, and there'd be a component there from the Regional Council, and then the territorial authorities were given the option of opting out of collecting the Regional Council rates, and they all chose to opt out. So all the ones here locally anyway. So that was left to us then to invoice separately once a year.
Reason was?
They were empowered by legislation to opt out, weren't
Yes,
they?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And one of the arguments is transparency,
Yes,
that regional council rates shouldn't be hidden
yes.
in a territorial rate bill.
Councillor Crowe.
Well, I've really enjoyed this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's a big issue because this is our income, of course, and there's obviously lots of different thoughts on how we handle it. And I have lots of questions, but I'm not going to bore you now. But I'm just wondering, Mr. Chair, whether we can. This is such an interesting topic and so important to us, whether, especially the remissions. I mean, one of the questions I have: if there's a Pākehā farmer in the high country and he has 200 acres of native bush and he fences it off and he gets it officially fenced off, can he get a remission, and how keen are we to give them remissions when they do things such as that? So there's a whole lot of questions that around this rate thing that's really important.
Yes, no, I agree.
So and innovation is one thing I'd say before I finish off is I would strongly support us having collection in-house.
Fabulous. Thank you.
So you were looking for seeking some guidance. Have you got a lot of questions you'll just take offline, or?
Well, I'm just wondering whether this isn't a discussion that we could have, just as a...
As we're building up the LTP.
As we're building up the LTP, yeah.
Sure, okay. Yeah, that's a good thought.
Can I just ask
Session.
the question about the process, because I think this is important, I mean, this discussion particularly about being in-house or out-of-house as far as the debt collection. What's the process? Is that going to come back to us as a council for any decision, or is that a management decision?
No, that would come back through to, once the proposal has been worked out, that would come through to the executive for us to have a look at, and any financial implications will come through to you as part of the long-term planning, financial aspects.
Councillor Balfour.
Just how does Hastings, do they do it in-house or?
Yes, they do it in-house. One thing Napier did say is the people that receive their statement invoice by email tend to pay quicker than others because they get it on their phone or something, boom, it's gone. And if they find every time they do a quarterly send out, there might be 2 or 3 emails that bounce back. So they print off a physical copy, mail it out with a letter saying, just, do you want to receive this? And please update information. It's smart. I think it's quite smart and something we need to go.
Just one question or comment around the emailing. Mm-hmm. Most farming businesses need to have a hard copy to go to the accountant. I mean, we've got to keep our records for 7 years, so there might be a bit of pushback in the farm community. I don't know, there may not be, but...
Yep.
Why should I pay to print it off? I'll get you to print it off.
No, it's totally...
Times are tight and sheep and beef.
Yeah, Luke.
Beginning to understand that 25% now.
Got to say to you that I'm really surprised because most accountants now take things electronically, and any electronic transaction is sufficient for legal prosecution against you, just because it doesn't have to be writing. I just don't understand that. I should now accept...
You need to ring my wife and have a chat.
He does.
I'm not going to do.
And good luck. And good luck to you, sir. Good luck to you.
He'll call in.
Any other questions?
Yes, just a final
Mooney.
thing on the 533 of the Māori multiple ownership. That my accountant here just divided it by the number and then divided by the 6 years, and that comes to $72,000 a year. So it's very minor when you consider it.
$72.90
$72.90
per rate.
per ratepayer. So it's very small compared to the gross $18 million. So I'll move a motion to write them off.
That makes perfect sense. Okay. No other questions? Can we get to the recommendation then that we receive this report, noting, well, don't have to note it in the recommendation, but I think Councillor Graham's idea is perhaps we do work this up through the next 6 months or so. So you're happy to move, Councillor Bevan, seconded, Councillor Pipe. You wish to speak? Speakers, put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. And thank you very much, guys.